Hello everybody, Virtual Rook here, back with another Unreal Engine tutorial. Today we're going to be doing our tutorial in Unreal Engine 5.4.3, which just released, and thank goodness for that because it fixed a really annoying shadow issue that we had in 5.4.2, but that's not why we're here. We're here because one of my viewers, David Blackjack, requested that since I already made a VR button, he would love to see how to make a slider in Unreal Engine for VR. So let's do that. Also, real quick, I would like to preface this tutorial by just saying I based a lot of the controls off of Rex Reality's VR interaction system. I'll link to the video down below. A lot of today is going to just be showing how to do interfaces to kind of use that, and I'm also going to be reiterating what Rex Reality has taught me, because I think that it's a brilliant way to do a system like this. But anyway, let's get to the tutorial. Alright, for starters, we're going to launch Unreal Engine 5.4.3. Once that's up, we're going to go ahead to the games and over to the virtual reality template. We can do the starter content. It's not going to be super important for this, but why not? Just leave it in there. And I'm just going to call this slider tut 02 because I already did this tutorial once as practice. Create. Alright, so first things first, we're going to want to do a couple of things in Unreal Engine just to set up the project so that way it's easier to do what we're going to be doing. So we'll head on over to the VR template. We will then go to our blueprints. We'll click on the grab type enumeration right here. And you'll see that there's one that's just called custom. We're going to be changing the name of that. We are going to call it replicate. You can call it literally whatever you want as long as it makes sense for what you're trying to do. We're trying to replicate the position of your hand to a different object that is going to move along a path. You'll see. Anyway, we're going to hit Control S to save, or you can hit this little save icon up here. And we'll exit out of that because that's all we had to do there. But now we have to go into our grab component blueprint class, because we need to add some things to our onGrabbed. So we'll click on our onGrabbed, and then we will come up here to the plus symbol for a new parameter. Oh, new parameter. Okay, thank you. And then we will call this motion controller. There we go. And we'll set it to, you guessed it, motion controller. Not the first one. We don't want structure. We want object type, motion controller component, object reference. All right. And now whenever we hit compile, see, that's the second time. So in 5.4.3, they apparently fixed this. So I guess we're just done in here if you're in 5.4.3. If you're in 5.4.2, I believe, you are going to want to open up the try grab and come down here and just connect motion controller reference to motion controller. We basically just made this motion controller input, so we just want to make sure that it knows that it's grabbing it from our motion controller that we've already set. Compile, save, and then we're done with that as well. Awesome. Love it. Fantastic. And now it's time to actually get to the meat and potatoes of this entire tutorial. So we're going to go up to our content. We are going to make a new folder. We're going to call it Blueprints. And then just for funsies, I'm going to right click on it, set color, because I like my Blueprints folder to be blue. We're going to go into our Blueprints folder, right click, grab Blueprints class, and make an actor. We are going to call this actor BP Slider. All right, BP Slider is made. Now, I don't want you guys to have to download all kinds of stuff, so I'm just going to make the slider out of a box. Glorious boxes. They're great. Anytime you need to make something, boxes. 0.2 on scale. 0.2 again. Sweet. And then like I don't know, 0.3 maybe? Let's make this 0.2 actually. Let's make these ones 0.1. So 0.1 and 0.1. Looks great. And again, I'm a visual learner, so we're going to go ahead and make this green, because green is nice and means that you can slide, right? Green means slide. Yeah. All right, next up, we're going to want to make a box collider. So we're just going to go back up here, grab a box collider. So box collision. Now this is super important. Don't make the same mistake that I did whenever I first started this tutorial. We are not going to scale this with scale. Do not touch transform. It doesn't exist for you in the box collider. Only go to shape and move these ones. And we want to get it as close as we can but it doesn't have to be exact. Just like, perfect. It's part of this now. It has become one. So then we can drag our cube onto the box collider. Then we want to click on the box collider and add one more component, which is going to be our grab component. Grab component. Awesome. We're going to select our grab component, and we're going to go over here to default where it says grab type, and we are going to get the grab type that we made ourselves. I made it myself. It's the replicate. Excellent. And now we're almost done. Isn't that exciting? Just click anywhere right here over here in the components. We're going to give ourselves a spline right here. Alrighty. Hit enter on that. Now if we click on this circle with a little diamond, which is the first spline point, we should see that the location is 0, 0, 0. That's perfect. We want to leave it right there. Excellent. We're going to click on the other triangle with a circle. That's our end spline point. I don't want this to be moving across the X. You don't either. Just follow along. We're going to do 0 on the X. We're going to come over to the Y. Green means Y. And we're just going to do 30. So if everything has gone correctly, this is what you should have. Just a green block. You should be able to see the outline of the box collider. You should have a spline sticking out of it on the Y, so along the green line, which isn't green right now for me, but you can see it's not the red line because the red line's going that way. And then you have a grab component that's attached to the box, which you can't see because it doesn't have any representation in 3D space. But that's not important right now. Cool. Okay. That's everything we need to add to this for now, which is awesome. So let's go up to our grab component, right-click, add event, add an on-grabbed event, right-click again, add event, on-dropped. Sweet. We can now right-click on motion controller, promote it to a variable. We're just going to call it motion controller because that's what it is. Then we're going to drag off from here, and we are going to set timer by function name, which should be what it comes up with. So we're just going to click on that. Awesome. We want it to be itself. We are going to right-click on the return value. We're going to promote it to a variable, and we're going to name that variable timer. I'll explain why we're doing all this in a second. Come down to the on-dropped. We're going to drag out our timer. Get timer. We're going to drag out from our timer, and we're going to type in clear, and we're going to get clear and validate timer by handle. The handle being this timer. We are then going to grab our motion controller, set our motion controller, and attach it there. Cool. So now here's what's going on. Whenever we grab our grab component, we are going to set the motion controller to whichever hand just grabbed the grab component. We are then going to set or constantly run a function by its name until we let go. How will it know when we let go? Well, whenever we drop our object from that hand, we will tell said timer to stop running, and then we will also set the motion controller to nothing. It's no longer anything. Make sense? Cool. We're on board then still. But we need the function that actually does things, so let's go ahead and do that now. We'll go to our functions, hit the plus, and we are going to call this replicate position. Cool. We then want to go real quick and click once on the replicate position function, and we're just going to hit Control C so we can copy that into our clipboard. We will then go back to our event graph, and we'll click inside the function name and Control V, and there you go. And that way it knows which function it should run whenever we're grabbing. Don't take that out of context. Hi, future Andrew here. Real quick, I made one tiny mistake that we're going to fix it right now. So here we go. Go back to your event graph. Under your timer, set it to loop. Just check that box. We're also going to be setting the time right here to 0.01. If your computer's a little bit slower than mine, then you can set it to 0.02. This is just how quickly it updates. So with 0.01 and looping, we can hit compile and save, and then back to Andrew in the tutorial. All right, let's go back to the replicate position, and now it's time to build out the actual slider. So I'm going to grab two things real quick. We're going to grab our box collider, and we're also going to grab our motion controller right there. Get motion controller. Awesome. Now we want to figure out how far away these are from each other at all times whenever we're grabbing. So we're going to do the motion controller first. Motion controller at top, box at bottom. Very important. You'll see why in a second. We will then grab this. We're going to get transform. Get world transform. Control copy, Control V. All right, so now that we can get the world positions of the motion controller and the box, we want to figure out what their relative location is to each other. So we're going to drag out again, make relative transform. So we have A and relative 2. So we're going to attach the box to the relative 2, and then we'll get a return value. I'm going to split the strut pins from here, because we don't need all of them. We're going to actually split it again. We're going to click on the return value for the location, split strut pins, because we only really care about the Y. We have everything moving in the Y right now. So we'll drag out the Y, hit the plus symbol for add, and then just to keep this clean, I'm going to grab the box collider again. We are going to get the relative location. Again, we only care about the Y, so let's go ahead and split the strut pins on it, drag the Y into here. So now we want to clamp that. So we're going to just type in clamp. We want to make sure it's clamp float. And then for the minimum and max, all we want is to grab our spline, drag off on the spline, get a spline point at spline point. Perfect. Control C, Control V. And then we're just going to make this one point index 1 because there's 2 points in our spline. Programming's weird. 0 is 1 and 1 is 2. Don't worry too much about it if this is confusing. Just note the first point on the spline is 0 on the index. And then we're just going to attach the spline to both of these, so that way it knows which spline we're referring to. Again, we're only concerned about the Y location, so lots of splitting of strut pins in this tutorial, but hey, that's how it is sometimes. We're just going to attach the Y position from both of those into our clamps. 0 position is going to go into our min, and then the last position is going to go into our max, because that gives us our total distance. And now up to here, we've just basically told it to do a bunch of math. Now we're going to grab our replicate position function event. We're going to grab our replicate position, drag off from there, and we're going to set relative location. And we're going to be doing it for the box, so because remember, the box has our slider cube inside of it. The box is the collider. And then, yep, we have to split the location again, split strut pin, and now we're just going to feed the return value into the new location Y. And that should be it. It should work. Man, the amount of times I said that should work and then it didn't, it would blow your mind. So we're going to compile, we're going to save. Well, that does happen sometimes. Oh, Unreal Engine, I love you. And by that I mean you're fucking the worst. Ugh. All right, if we did everything correctly, we should be able to compile and save, or save and compile, and it should work. So let's go out and test that real quick. But before we do, did you know that I have a Ko-Fi? Thank you so much to my Ko-Fi member, Vega. You are the best. Truly, it means the world to me that you are supporting me on Ko-Fi. And if you would also like to support me on Ko-Fi, you can click the link down in the description and you will get a video of behind the scenes stuff from me every single week. And you also get a shout out during my videos, maybe even more. I don't know. I want to do more things on the Ko-Fi, so we'll see. But anyway, back to the tutorial. Alrighty, real quick before we get completely into VR, let's go ahead and make some room. So I'm going to delete these guns. I'm going to drag out the BP slider. We're just going to put it right here. That way it's easy to get to. Alright, but that should be everything we need to do. So let's go ahead and go to VR preview. Alright, we'll go over to our slider and we should be able to grab it, and look at that. It follows our hand exactly. Alright, and if that's all you wanted out of this tutorial, then there you go. We've done it. Don't forget to subscribe because it really helps the channel. We're almost at 1,000 subscribers, which is awesome. But if you want to know how to make it actually do something, which is pretty cool, like, you know, having a slider actually affect your world, then stick around. We're getting right to it. All right, so if we want to make it actually affect the world, let's go ahead and right-click inside of our blueprints. We're going to go then to Blueprint Interface. And we're just going to call that BPI, and we're going to call it Action. Why not? It doesn't really matter. Open that up real quick. If you've never used interfaces before, your mind's about to get blown, because you can use them basically for everything, and they're extremely useful. And they're also very simple. So up here in the right, where it says New Function, we're just going to call this Open. Cool. Okay. Now, I want to feed how much the slider has moved into whatever is getting the Open command. So down here in Inputs, I'm going to hit plus, and we're going to call this Amount. And instead of a Boolean, we're going to set it as a float. Right there. Awesome. Okay. So we could just go ahead and compile and save, and we're done in there for now. So close that. Awesome. Easy, right? I also want a door that we can affect, but you can literally make anything. Like you can make a light that the slider actually adjusts how bright the light is. Whatever you want to do. That would be really fun too. I'm going to do it with the door. So we're going to make a new blueprint class. We're going to make it an actor. I'm going to call this BP Door. Open up BP Door. Again, I don't want you to download anything, at least unless you want to, of course. So I'm going to do this with a cube. The glorious cube. We're going to call it door. Way to get upgraded. Cube, now you're a door. We're going to actually leave the Z and the X completely as is, but we are going to set the Y to like 0.1. That way it's a little bit thinner. A little bit more door shaped, I guess. But we do want to come up here, go to add, and we're going to add a scene. Scenes are nice because they're kind of like empties in other software. You don't really have to worry about them, but you can move them. And that's important for us right now because we want to make a hinge. We're going to move it over here until it's lined up about where the hinge would be on a door. All right, very nice. And then we're just going to take our door and we're going to attach it to the scene. I also really like, to have things color-coded to show that they're important. So we're going to make this blue. Yeah, okay, awesome. So now we're going to learn how to actually implement an interface onto a blueprint. We're going to go up to the class settings, and then right here you're going to see interface, or interfaces, I guess it's plural. You're going to hit add, and we're going to type in BPI, because that should give us our BPI action, which you see now down here in interfaces we have open. We are then going to go to our event graph. I think you need to compile and save before these pop up, we'll see. We don't need any of those. And we're just going to drag, oh, nope. We're going to right click on open and we're going to implement event. All right. Now, we don't have anything coming from the amount or even triggering this yet, but that's okay because we know that our slider can go from 0 to 30. So we're just going to take this and we're going to multiply it by 3. So 3. We're then going to take our event, drag off, and we're going to set relative rotation for scene. So set relative rotation for scene. Okay. We don't need all of the axes, so we're going to split strut pins. We actually only need the Z because that's just the way doors work. But first what we want to do is make sure that we clamp, float, and we want to set our maximum to 90 because we only want it to open by 90 degrees. And then we'll take that return value, we'll plug that right into the Z-axis. All right, that's all that we need for the door to work. So let's go ahead and hit Control Save, which is Control S, by the way. We'll hit Control S and we'll compile. BP door is done. We can close that. We're going to drag it out into our scene. I'm going to then rotate it 90 degrees. We're then going to move it more center. This is me nitpicking. And then we're going to lock our scale and we're going to scale this up until it's about the size of the door. Okay, now we have to adjust some things in our BP slider so it can talk with the door. First thing, just like we did with the door, we have to go to our class settings. And then down in interfaces, we're going to hit add. We're going to type in BPI, which is going to bring up BPI action. We're going to go down and make sure that under interfaces it says open, which it does. And then all we're going to do is grab our box. We're going to get its location, its relative location, split its strut pins, and then all we really care about is like the Y amount, so that's why we're doing the strut pins. So we can drag off from the Y amount, and we can then type in open, and you'll see the BPI action, which is our interface. We have our open, and it says message in brackets. Very important. Make sure you're clicking the one that says open with the message next to it. So we're gonna click that. And then we can just tie this in. Again, we're in the event graph. So set timer function name, set timer, open. But we need a target. So what we'll do is we'll right click on that, we'll promote it to a variable. And then we will set that, you see down here we have target as variable, but we don't want it to be an object. What we would like it to be is an actor. So type in actor, and then right here under actor, we'll get object reference. Change variable type. All right, and that's good now. So now you can see down here that the target is an actor. Now that we switched it to actor, let's go ahead and click the eye, so that way we can see it over on the main screen. So yeah, that's it. Literally all that we've done is gotten our box collision's position, relative location rather. We take its Y, because it can only be between 0 or 30 because of the clamp. And we fed that into the amount of the open message. And we've told it that there is an actor that's going to be the target, but we haven't defined what that is. This is why it's so cool. Because now we can hit compile, save. All right, that was actually my bad. It does not go inside of your event graph. We're going to grab these. We're going to hit Control X to cut it. Then we're going to go into our replicate position function. And then right after set relative location, we're just going to hit Control V to paste. And then we're going to take this and we're just going to plug what we made and put it in there. So right after the set relative location, it's going to send this data out to open. Go back to our VR template. So right out here. Now when we click on our slider, you'll notice that there's a new thing called default. It says target and it says none. We can use the eyedropper to click on our door. So BP door is now what's selected as the target. And now, because BP door also has the same interface, whatever information we send from this to BP door, it'll activate whatever that interface does. And again, that's so cool because that could have been a lamp with a light inside of it with the interface attached saying that our 0 to 30 was actually the intensity of the light. Awesome. Okay. We're just gonna come over here and then grab and oh, look at that. We can open the door completely. We can close it. Yeah. Yeah. Excellent. I hit the mic. Sorry. Excellent. I think that was a successful tutorial. I hope you do too. And if you liked it, don't forget to hit subscribe because we are very close to 1,000 subscribers and it would really mean the world to me. If you have any suggestions on other, tutorials or VR stuff for Unreal Engine that you'd be interested in learning about, please leave a comment. That would be awesome. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, everybody. I'll see you in the next tutorial. Bye for now.